Hello, hello, and welcome to the Introvert Social Hour. My name is Kavana. Today, we are talking about what is success, a very big question, a very general question. So, we're going to dive in. I'm pretty sure this could be longer than even just this episode, but we're just going to talk about what we can get through. I'm excited to bring my friend on, Jamichael. Welcome, Jamichael, again.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
of course, of course. I feel like this was a good one because we've always kind of had like, life discussions here or there sometimes. Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? What do you And I feel like also too, I get inspired by like life pivots and life changes, and we've both kind of had different versions of that too.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of get into it a bit. And these are kind of like updates for ourselves too, because we haven't really had like a deep conversation about. I might be like, "Oh, what are you doing now?" Oh, okay.
Right. We haven't danced in a while together.
Yeah, it's been almost a year. Yeah.
Hmm.
So no, that's kind of wild times. But yeah. So I guess my first question, to you, how would you define success right now? Because I know that always changes as well.
Yeah. Um, to be honest, it success is evolving for me. I do believe that I am successful to a certain extent, but now I'm like, as I'm itching towards my mid 30s,
Mhm,
I'm realizing that success looks like health,
mhm,
being healthy, um, relationships, not just necessarily like romantic relationships, but like
mhm,
your friends, your relationship with yourself. Um, and yeah, and also like if you're doing something that you actually want to be doing, um, and being able to have some level of not integrity, but autonomy over your life. To me, I think that's successful because what to me that's what like success means, and
yeah.
personal responsibility. um yeah, I can go on and on about what that is, but I'm hoping, am I answering the question?
No, yeah, you are, because it
Yeah,
doesn't have to. It's not a defined answer, and like I said, it's very open. So
yeah,
I always
yeah,
get curious of what everybody has their own definition of what success looks like to them.
yeah.
And also in on top of that, that definition can change
Right.
for people. And so I always wonder, something I reflect on is like, okay, but what, because everybody's like always chasing the next thing and what's happening. And so it's like, okay, but what does success look like? When do you feel like, okay, I've done what I've been chasing, I'm there.
Mm, yeah.
Um for me, I think the word that came to mind was comfortable. Success is comfortable.
Ooh.
Um
Okay.
where you can finally be like, okay, like I'm in a place where I can just kind of sit and not
Mm,
think about the next thing, because I've made it to the point that I wanted to make.
mm,
Now, I will say I don't think success is permanent. What
mm,
I've
mm.
learned, especially when I hear from specifically like artists who said, "Oh, I'm here. I've already made my dream." Some people are there and they are comfortable. I think,
Yeah,
for example, like I think it was SZA who was like, "I've done what I've wanted to do. I don't need to do anything else." Because people are
yeah.
always like, "What's the next thing, SZA?" And she's like, I just kind of let the flow take me where I flow.
Right.
I'm happy where I am. I've made the thing I've wanted to make. I just want to keep making that thing.
Yeah.
Um, some people are like, okay, I've become a movie star. Okay, what's the next
Mm,
thing? Now I want to do
mm,
this. I want to get this Oscar, or I want to do that.
mm, mm.
So it just depends, I think, too. But on the more like human level scale, I'm not saying that they aren't human, but I guess like more relatable. I think for
Yeah.
me as a person, I guess personally, I don't. I think while I say success is comfortable, and I agree, like success is autonomy, success is evolving, things like that. Um, I haven't necessarily determined where my pause point is, because I think, especially like being like young as we are, it's like, do we ever stop thinking about the next thing?
Mm,
I think that's the
mm.
question I always wonder. It's like, am I always gonna have to be thinking?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
All right, what do you mean by pause?
like we could just not, like when you're like, okay, well, going back to comfortable, but I'm settled. Like
Mm, mm-hmm.
I'm okay just doing what I'm doing already. I'm not thinking about, oh, now I have to do this now that I've achieved that, or now I have to do this now that I've achieved that. You could be like, if I stopped right here, I'm okay. Yeah.
Is that
Um,
a good thing?
I think so. It depends on person though. I think once again, because sometimes people want to keep moving forward, which
Yeah.
I think is a great thing as well.
Yeah.
But also it's like, I think there's nothing wrong with being comfortable in a space where you're like, oh, I'm okay where I'm at because this was success to me.
Hmm.
And I don't need to move any further. Because you can think of, for example, some people are like, I have the perfect job. This is the job exactly that I wanted. I get the money that I want. I don't have to worry about my finances. They're covered. They're good. I'm on a good trajectory without having to move any further.
Yeah.
I'm already moving without having to move because I'm in such a good spot. I think
Yes.
about when I say like that's where pause exists, then yes. I think for me, I don't think like I'm definitely not in a pause now. I'm nowhere near. But I think if I were to be like, I have the money's coming to me. I don't really have to do a lot, for it at this point because I've done the work. Or in the sense of even outside of money, it's like whatever I said I wanted to achieve, it has been done, you know, then yes. But once again, going back to some people have a list and they checked it off and they're done. But sometimes people have a list and then they check off and that list also keeps adding because now they have further ideas. I think it
Yeah.
just depends on person. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
I,
for sure.
for me, I feel like I think we should always be achieving for more to a certain extent
Mm,
because and that doesn't necessarily have to be like material wise.
mm,
That could be how is the quality of my relationship with my mother or my
mm,
father or my child or my friends? How
yes.
can I deepen that?
Mm,
How can I create more space for rest?
mm,
That's more successful. How am I integrating play into my life? I
mm,
think that could be successful. I don't think to me, well, I'm checking myself. It's not always materialistic, you know. It's
yeah.
like, what are these things like in my connections with people? You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I need to call on somebody, will someone come? You know, how do people speak on my name when I'm not in the room? I think that's also
Mm,
can be successful as well.
interesting. That's a good tie-in. That's a good I never considered it in that specific aspect because then I question like does success actually exist in if you tie those in because once again it's ever evolving.
Hmm.
Um and I think that's a good yeah now you've got me like cooking. I'm like because what I can say in regards to that aspect it's like for me I definitely have like things that I want to keep improving on, of course. Because, like you said, I feel like I agree. Personally do feel like if I'm not evolving, then I'm doing something wrong
Hmm.
as a person, as an individual, versus like the external things, like you said, the materials, things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but then the question is like, does that tie in to your success, and how is that technically defined? I think that's a question that I'm coming up with that where it's like once again, I think that might be person to person, where it's like, okay, if you're thinking of, for example, how is my name being spoken into rooms that I'm not in? What does success look like for that then? How do you want to be represented in those spaces? And I think that is person to person case scenario for
Exactly.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can have a
Hmm.
goal of being, it takes work to be a good person.
Yeah. Hmm.
It takes work to be a kind person,
Hmm.
right? You don't just up and say like, I mean, sure, those qualities can be innate in some people,
Yeah.
but there are some people who probably through a certain era of their life operated a certain way
Hmm.
and created rifts with people. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be this person anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actively do actions that create kindness or love in the world, or just to be a person that someone wants to be around. Because some people make choices to be someone that people don't want to be around,
Mm-hmm.
and they can deem that successful in their own eyes. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I was gonna say, yeah, because
Some people like not being a person to be around.
mm,
Um, or I think there's a fine line between that, because you also don't want to be seeking validation from everybody.
exactly, yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I was gonna say, literally, I was like, when some people aren't even thinking about that, like that's not a consideration. So, like you said, it's like that's not even a definition of someone's success because they're not. Some people are operating on their own system where they're like, I don't care what y'all got to say,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
I think
they're
that's a good thing too, to a certain
mhm,
extent. Because as someone who has thought so much about what people think of them, and also
mhm.
like, let me just be authentic. You know,
Yes.
if there is something that I disagree with or I don't like, I'm
Mhm.
working on how do I speak up on that and not care about what people think because I'm speaking my truth. To me, that's
Yeah.
successful. That's something that I'm actively
Yeah.
working towards.
Hmm. I could see that because I was gonna say the same thing. There's a balance um, where it's like still being able to empathize with someone
Mm,
by your actions, or but then also not always trying to seek, like you said, validation, where you're no longer being you because you're worried about what everyone else has to say,
yeah,
um, or worried about even if you're not there, you're still not representing yourself well because you're like, oh, I have to be XYZ. And then you're, once again, it's lacking authenticity. I
hmm
100% agree with that because for me, I think what I do in regards to like specifically like TikTok and when I'm on social media and stuff like that, I think I kind of strive for that. It's like, I'm going to post the most chaotic stuff sometimes. And it's so you understand this is who I am. So there's no questions about that in the future.
hmm
Like, so even I say chaotic, but I would just say it's not normalized because social media they expect you a lot of times to be this crisp character. But I will
hmm
say nowadays, people who are not as crisp are really getting that light. A lot of people that I follow these days, where they're just kind of like, "Oh, I'm getting the inside of your brain. Like this is a
yeah,
fun place to be. You're a little chaotic, and I like
yeah,
it because it's relatable."
yes.
Um, so it's a little bit more accepting these days where I feel like especially like 2010s and before, like
Hmm.
if you were around and in front of a scene, you kind of had to be like crisp,
Yeah,
to the T. We didn't really
yeah,
have a personality because you had to be the starlet kind of thing.
yeah.
I'm just comparing to how we've evolved because I'm nowhere. But like for example, like people who were celebrities for just being celebrities and they kind of transitioned, and
Yeah.
then we had influencers, and then we
Mhm.
had it just kept evolving over time, and now I think we're getting just being people on the internet versus needing to be like this crisp influencer. We still have influencers who are crisp, but we also have other people who are just being themselves who come on the internet. I think of a perfect example, like I follow this creator Romeo. I don't know if
Mm.
you've seen them. They were
No.
the one who did the Dr. Pepper
Oh,
baby is good.
yes. Yes, yes, I know her.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was nice because, they came on the internet and they were just like dropping jingles, just being themselves. A little bit awkward, but it was fun,
Yeah.
because we got their personality and that was them. There was no external thing. We were like, wait, we kind of like you. This is, you don't have to be perfect. Whatever that definition that society has made it to be, you don't have to be that. And I appreciate that.
No.
Hmm.
And that baby, that authenticity got that check.
And a house. Okay, a check, a house.
Hmm.
Recently, a Disney trip. I was like, you
Hmm.
better get that coin.
My.
Yes. Reflecting, like, oh, okay, what's the next steps?
Yeah. Let
Everybody
me
was trying
let
to create a
go of what if
jingle.
I'm holding on like, let me
Hmm.
drop into my more of my authenticity.
Right.
I
So
think
it's
that's the beautiful part about, I think that's what has stopped me for being so uh more active on social media,
mm-hmm.
because I feel like maybe I come from, I don't know if it was the environment that I grew up in or like my own sort of traumas.
Hmm.
To be honest, I've had to like maintain a certain quality of personality, maybe out of survival and safety.
Yeah.
And, but I know beyond that, you're going to get a bit of chaos. You're going to get a bit of wacky quirkiness,
Mm.
um, someone weird and all over the place. Um, and I know that that would bring more people into my world because I'm not just this put together person. I
Mhm.
have like silly things or things that hurt me or like so many different things. And I think if I embrace more of that on
Mm.
social media, I could like, you know, um I guess gather not that the goal is to gather a following, but more people would lean in to who I am if I allowed myself to do more of that, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it
Like,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's difficult for sure because it's like we talked about kind of how it wasn't as much of a welcoming thing, you
Hmm.
know. I think we also have some additional kind of like barriers being black and like different, quote
Yeah.
unquote, is also
Yeah.
like another layer. But what I really love is like it's become a more open space now, which I appreciate. And
Yeah.
so tying that back in, I think sometimes for me success looks like kind of opening up and letting myself just be, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and that's a progress situation because for me, I'm like, I'm in the comfort of my own home making videos, but
Come on.
I'm able to now push myself out there. Now, if you see me in person, that's a different story.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, well, eventually we'll get there when we get there. But it also goes back to that same thing of like always kind of being on eggshells a bit. It's like, okay, who are you as a person?
Yeah.
What are you expecting, through this conversation? It's like, not you want to just be you versus like, oh, reading their facial expressions and getting an idea of,
Hmm.
blur, blur,
Hmm.
blur, all the things.
Hmm.
Um, so I'd definitely say that. No, I like that tie-in with success being outside of like the usual career and finances and all the adult things that we have to think about, but just like who are you as a human? What does success look like for you as a human?
Yeah.
Um, is really cool because not a lot of people consider that. And also, like we said, it looks very different because sometimes people only care about that career aspect and that financial aspect. And
Yeah.
sometimes that may not also make them the best people.
Right. Exactly. I think that's so true because don't get me wrong. I think the more I'm like my financial literacy is increasing, I think that's a great measurement of success to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Um, and I think in my life, I sought so much of having quote unquote career success, but that didn't necessarily tie in financial success too, for
Yeah.
me at least. And then I also like and and thinking that career success would like uh kind of like high personal success too, like in
Mm.
terms of like how confident I am in myself, or what do my relationships look like. You can have the greatest career and you can still feel lonely and be
Yeah.
isolated.
Mhm.
um yeah.
No, yeah, that's really true. I definitely think there's also to add on to that, um, having career success and having it even be financial success, but maybe yeah, you have a good career, but maybe that's not exactly what you wanted. It's just something that gave you financial success that tied into career success. So now you're here, but like maybe like your creative success and who you are as a person is not aligned, which
Hmm.
also is a thing. Because I feel like you can possibly feel successful in one aspect and not successful in another. I think
Yeah.
that's also very true. So when people are like, what is success? It's like, I think it's an umbrella. And then there's like additional factors there because similar kind of thing for me. It's like, I wouldn't say I'm successful in a career right now. I think also I career pivoted like 2 years ago almost.
Right.
And so that's also a whole other thing. I think I'm in a decent spot, but I wouldn't say successful. But I also have no, um, like, I don't aspire to keep climbing where I'm at in my career, because this is, for me, it's not a career, it's just a job, you know? But I
Mm,
would like to eventually start building my creative success and what that looks
same.
like. And I think I'm on a path, but there's work. There's always work to do.
Yeah.
Which is why I always think, it's like, is there always going to be work? And I think
Yeah.
for me personally, the answer is yes. I think just because I think being a creative has additional aspects as well. Like, you're always going to want to do things and
Yeah.
always want to create. And for me, I love all things. I like dance. I love theater. I love, so I'm all in the bubbles. So I think
Right.
that'd be cool. Let's do that. Sure. I see that being a thing in the future. So
And I'm curious,
that's
like, if there's a way, like, if you're saying that there's always going to be work, is there a way for it to not feel like work?
mm,
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
I
Like,
do.
it's like, oh, to you, this may look like work, but to me, it isn't. This literally
Hmm.
is like me playing a video game.
Yeah.
This literally is like my passion. You know, I
Hmm.
want to get to that place where like it doesn't feel like work at all. It
Yeah.
feels like a game. It feels like an adventure. It feels like I'm walking on sunshine, even if these challenges are hard.
Hmm.
But I want it. I want to experience this type of challenge.
Yeah. I That's a good question, and I have a potential answer. My first mind went to, like, for example, I think yes, it will still feel like work, but I think it won't feel like this exhausting heavy weight. I think there's a difference of, this is work and there's things that need to be done, and yeah, I might be tired, but I'm having a blast, kind of thing.
Right.
Where I'd rather do this than sit at a desk all day, kind of thing. But my thought was like Issa Rae, for example. Like, I 100%, I highly doubt she would ever hit a Uno card, because she's where she. But once again, going back to it, she had her hit show. She's had some other shows she started. She's had some movies, but she still has work. She has her
Hmm.
company, but there's still work. She still has to then make another show or try to do another thing, and she's still
Hmm.
promoting and pushing. And the
And she's
question
had
is,
losses too that we probably don't know anything about. And I'm sure there's some
oh
things that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. See, so like, I think yes, but I think that yes, it'll always be work and sometimes stressful, and maybe the stuff that you don't want to do, depending
Hmm.
on whatever that creative path is.
Hmm.
Um, but I do think it will always be the preferred way, because there's less mental load, because you're still doing what you want to do. There's just pushes and battles and loops that you have to go through. Because I
Yeah.
even think for dance is a I'm learning so much. Like, you would think it's like, oh, I just come to dance and that's it. But even dance has become very, like, you know, company based a lot of the times. And when I say company based, I mean like kind of corporate as well.
Hmm.
Where
Hmm.
it's like, sometimes, oh, you can't just be a dancer. Like, there's layers. It's like, there's XYZ that's expected of you. Not just dancing, you're also doing this. So I feel like, when with what's the word, like, people say the word sacrifice, and I kind of,
Hmm. Hmm.
but yeah, people say sometimes you have to have sacrifice in order to have, that form of whatever that success is for you, specifically in creative fields, but that applies to a whole bunch of other things as well. I've heard
I
that a
agree.
lot. So, um I think there's always some form of work, some
Yeah.
fun, and some that is unwanted.
Yeah.
But I think still preferred, once again, because for me, I'm sitting at a desk or sitting here on my laptop, question answered, um but I always think, like, I'd much rather be dancing right now. Like, put me in a classroom or something, I'm fine. Or, you know if I could be, I did like background work, that was kind of fun.
Did
I
you?
did Yeah, I was barely
Yeah.
in it, but yeah, I did like Law and Order. Excuse me, that was really fun. I was like, I would, if I could make, but they don't really get paid that much, but it's
Yeah.
like, if I could just be on set and chill and like, that's kind of fun stuff to me.
Eat craft services all day.
Yo, listen, side note, you want to hear what success is? I did a background job. It was for, oh my gosh, it was a Amazon TV show. They canceled it, but it was a ballet show. called
Okay.
Itole, I think.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I think
Mm-hmm.
they filmed at Ailey.
Okay, cool. So they also filmed at Lincoln Square, the
Mm-hmm.
center area. I got called. They had breakfast. We had breakfast. All right, y'all. When I tell you full buffet style, called us over, told us to go outside to Lincoln Square. We were at Lincoln Square. Lincoln Square at the time had like a cool, chill, like um seating area with umbrella with like a whole tent area for the summer. We were
Mm-hmm.
just kind of sitting there waiting to be called. It wasn't too hot of a day, so it wasn't bad. I'm chilling. And then lunchtime comes around. Still haven't been called to the set. I'm just sitting waiting to be called. All right, let me go have lunch. Meal,
Right.
meal, snack, snack. They got cut up steaks and stuff. I'm not a steak person, but just like they had person cutting steaks for you. They
Come
had
on,
cake.
Steve.
I said, y'all had a budget. All
Yeah.
right, lunch is over. I go back. I'm waiting to be called. Sitting, chilling on my phone, reading. Da 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 da. All right, y'all, that's a wrap.
You didn't
I just
move.
came to eat and I got paid for it. I'm not mad at it at all.
Right.
That was a successful day to me. I just chilled in the nice summer weather.
Yes.
But yeah, no. So those are really cool moments to me where I'm like, I would love to just I love an adventure. I think I get bored doing the same thing
Me too.
every single day.
Yes.
Um, so that's kind of where I'm at. I guess for me, once again, evolving. I think my current form of success would be moving into a place where I can financially support myself and be able to still do things in different formats where I'm not at one job, where I'm not at a 9 to 5, but I can do dance stuff here, do maybe some TV stuff here, do this, that. I like creative all the way around. Like I would
Yes.
love to go back if I could do like production assistant work at a theater. I think that'd
Oh
be really
wow.
cool too because I did that in college. That was really fun.
There. I mean, if I come across some PA jobs, I can forward them to you because sometimes I get them from
Yeah,
different people.
let me know. I know, but that's even hard because sometimes I know they don't really get paid that much depending on the job. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, but no, let me know. So I think that's for me where I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, okay, I need to be able to support the life I have, but be
Yes.
able to be in a different job environment where I don't need to be in this like corporate 9 to 5 world.
We on the same wavelength. That is my prayer as well. I've been talking to so many people about that
Mhm.
same exact thing. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I love the work that I'm able to do with my day
Mhm.
job.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing the good work.
Hmm.
However, I know that uh, my personality is so much more than that.
Hmm.
And I want more autonomy over my time. I don't want to
Yes.
be sitting. I actually don't enjoy looking at screens all day. I think it's
Hmm.
very unhealthy for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to get out of that. Like I want to be writing. I want to, creating space to meet with people in person, when and however I please, acting.
Hmm.
Um, I have a really big goal for a education center, kind of
Yeah.
leading that. Um, Acting in all fronts, not just theater, but also TV and television.
Hmm.
I even had a podcast that I started years ago
I'm
that
seeing
I
that.
figured that I thought it was a great idea. It is a great idea if I
Yeah, I was like, hold
continue.
up, why are you going back on
Yeah, yeah, I was like,
it?
no, it is a great idea because I started the podcast because I won a marketing pitch competition, and my idea was so clear for
Mhm.
them, and they supported me and making it happen. So,
Mhm.
but I don't want my financial income to just be coming from one place to where I have to
Yes.
like be solely dependent on that.
I agree.
Because at the end of the day, financial freedom is my goal. I want
Mhm.
freedom of choice.
Mhm.
We live in a world where that is possible, but we haven't always known that it was,
Mhm.
and now that it is and we have the tools, it's possible, but it takes work and effort.
Yeah.
But I'm on the same wavelength as you.
Yeah. I'm gonna add to that. Success looks like an addition, a piece of that is financial freedom. Yeah, for me. I think if
Yes.
I could be like, I could just fully not have to, if I want to go on a trip for a weekend, I'm gonna go on
Yeah.
a trip for a weekend and I have
Yeah.
to, put some funds together and make what is going on here. I could just swipe my card. Not saying I'm
Yeah.
going everywhere every weekend. That is not
Yeah.
necessary. But when I need something for myself, I should be able to do that. If like I need a break, I'm gonna do this. Or
Yeah.
okay, oh, there's a concert coming. I don't need to
Hmm.
check. I know
Hmm.
I could pay for the concert.
Hmm.
Things like that. So definitely
Same.
not
For
having
me,
to
it's
worry
like
about
I
bills.
really want to create space and time to go visit my family more often
That
in
too. Hmm.
Texas
Hmm.
because my grandparents are getting older and I want to
Hmm.
create more moments with them, or I have a goddaughter, or
Hmm.
my siblings, like my niece and nephews, being able to experience more of their milestone moments.
Hmm.
But also it's a sacrifice too, because
Yeah.
I'm sacrificing it for this lifestyle that I hope to have very soon.
Hmm. Yeah. No, that makes sense too. In addition to that, bi-coastal world, I think I would love to do that. I think that's another version of success for me where I don't have to, um, if I want to be somewhere for a few months here and then come, because for me, I'm like, I like my space. I like being in New York. I don't see myself like officially leaving, but if I'm like, okay, I would love to experience another place for a few months to see
Hmm.
how that lifestyle is or see that. And then, because even I have a cousin, he's been in New York for like 30 years,
Wow.
but he's in a place now where he can be like, oh, I'm bi-coastal. I'm,
Mm.
you know, winter for New York, I'm out. I'm going to California.
Okay.
He's got his family, which is also my family, of course, but his parents are older now. So it's like I need to be bi-coastal to be able to help out my family. So
Yeah.
he's hopping between New York and LA. So but I think that's also works out because he could do that. So
Well, I want to ask cousin, give me the advice because I want the same thing. I want to have a moment where I can just go to Texas for a couple of months,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
and then come back to New York or pop
Mhm.
over to LA to work on a project,
Yeah.
or go back to Italy to work on a project or something. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's another thing. The flexibility to be able to grab a creative job and not have to worry about, you know, oh, I don't this job is here, but I got to pay my rent here, but then I also got, things like that. That I was
yeah,
thinking about that in regards to like when they're like, "Oh, we have a dance tour happening."
hmm,
And it's like, "Ooh, okay, well, I got the bills here and I know people sublet and things like that, but some people can't really do that." And
yeah,
it's like, okay, but can I even tour or things
yeah,
like this? There's so many layers. I think success, like you said, I think the word for sure that's in there is autonomy.
hmm,
Yeah.
hmm,
Like, so I'm gonna add that to my thing. Success is comfortable, success is autonomy. For sure, for sure. And I'm gonna also add success is authenticity. I
yes,
like that
exactly.
and as an add-on. Um, in regards to like, let's talk about comparison and social pressure.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that one's a toughie. Um, are there ever points where you feel like you're behind and whatever that may look like? And then if so, why do you think you feel like you're behind?
I, I feel like I'm behind because I have been in projects with people who are further along than I am. People who I was in classrooms with that are on Broadway, or I was in shows with that are on Broadway or on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, like people who I grew up with that have their own families, have their own kids. Um, yeah, I think I don't think it's necessarily behind because we have our own journeys, and I have to check myself,
Yeah.
right? Because everyone has not had the same life experience as me. We are all uniquely made. We have our
Mm-hmm.
own journeys. Sometimes people want the life that I have, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I have to when I do get into that space, I have to get back into being grateful for what I have and trusting of my journey because we're all different.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I feel like when we do compare ourselves to people, maybe there is, I can't remember who I heard this from exactly, but there's something that you admire about that person.
Mm-hmm.
So like instead of like comparing yourself to them, like take notes, like what is this person doing? Be more curious about how did that person get there? What did they do differently that I didn't do? What can I do better? Or how can
Mm-hmm.
I pick this person's brain and have a conversation with them?
Yeah.
Versus like comparing yourself to them. And I know that's hard because our egos want to, I feel like that's a human thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not really conscious of you comparing yourself to people. And also like we do live in a world where so much is being put on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and and everything that people put on social media is not always true. This could be a facade, and people, have this glamorous lifestyle, but behind closed doors, they probably struggling with God knows what at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
What
true.
about you?
Phew, yeah, I agree with all the things. Like a lot of times I gotta be like, girl, chill. Like also on the check yourself thing, it's like, for I think specifically I always look at like, oh my gosh, they're how old and they're already a millionaire or something like that. Not that I need to be a millionaire, but I just look like, oh, you don't gotta struggle. Going back to the financial freedom situation.
Mm-hmm.
Or I always think about that with like, but once again, it goes back to social media and what we are given and what we are seeing. I call it like the celebrityism all as well, where I'm like, I'm looking, I'm like, this person is 20 years old. They just got out of high school. They've been
Yeah.
streaming and now they got XYZ going on and they're traveling around the world and they done bought their mom a house and some more stuff. And so I definitely sometimes I'll look at stuff like that. Um, and I try to just be like, everything happens at your own timing. I
Yeah.
always go back to everybody has their own not everybody was given the same tools. So,
Yes. That is so
um
true.
especially in the dance world, I tried my hardest. And I think I still sometimes struggle where I I'd be like, "Oh, they can do this thing. Like they
Mm-hmm.
can do
Mm-hmm.
XYZ and they've got this confidence and they're doing this that." And I'm just like, but we didn't come up the same. Or
Mm-hmm.
when someone's like they're in a show, similar kind of like when you see people in these shows or things like that, they're in a show or they got this contract or they're now in an agency or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, some people were able to audition.
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't able to audition. Not even maybe, I know
Right.
for a fact you weren't. You got to pay your bills, sis. So you
Right.
don't have time to, a lot of dance stuff happens during the day, Monday through Friday. Yeah, you don't have time to go and sit and hope you can get seen somewhere. And
Right.
I've taken off to do that, and
Yeah.
then not being seen. And I've done taken off a day of work.
Yeah.
We get
Yeah.
nowhere. It's some people. Once again, everybody's different, but some people are getting funded by their parents. That is not something
Yeah.
that I can be afforded to do.
I know. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so they just have different levels of come up. They have different pushes ahead of them. A lot of the
Yeah.
times it's about who you know.
Yeah.
So some people happen to know XYZ, or maybe their parents know someone who knows someone who knows XYZ. So they're kind
Mm-hmm.
of getting a bit of a head start. And so I think for me, if anything, when in comparison, I'm just like knowing that, I'm kind of just like, ugh, like kind of going back to like, sometimes our people didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't get the tools and, we're trying to find the tools. So then we don't have to continue those kind of like, as people say, like generational curses in a sense of like, we can break the, that path of not knowing and
Yeah.
understanding that we are capable and um, things like that. um,
Yeah.
I think that's
And
the biggest one I always think
also,
about
I think
though.
about the not only the tools but the environments that you, and
100%.
I guess that also goes back to the tools because
Mm,
um, your environments give you a certain set of tools compared to other people. Like,
mhm,
maybe this person's environment gave them survival tools, um, and also exposure to different things. Like the
mm,
earlier you're exposed to something, the more time you have gotten a chance to sit with something and become more curious about a thing compared to someone who just started studying theater or doing theater when they were in high school.
mhm,
Um, like seeing a Broadway play at 3 years old compared to seeing a Broadway play at 21 is a complete different thing,
100%. Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think about that also. In addition, my brain always goes to like the confidence. And I've talked about this before in a few episodes of my podcast, like the confidence crisis or finding confidence, especially in your creative work.
Hmm.
Sometimes those tools are also like kind of personality tools. In regards to your environment, it's like were you uplifted and given that chance to be able to just be yourself and
Keep on it.
do you, and were you given those tools to did you have those experiences where that confidence kept being watered so it was allowed to keep growing versus
Hmm.
like it just kind of stopped or here there things like that. I definitely think about
Hmm.
moments like that, especially with dance. My mom was busy so my experience with dance was through, also we just didn't have fun, so my experience with dance was through school.
Yeah.
So luckily enough, my after school program, they had hip hop for the first time when I was in eighth grade. Okay, bet I can do
Hmm.
hip hop, this is free, you know.
Hmm.
Went to
Hmm.
high school. My high school had a dance program, which I was really excited about. So I did dance instead of PE.
Hmm.
Bet I could do that. So that's how I learned. So it wasn't I
Yeah.
wasn't growing up, going back to kind of like 3 year old watching Broadway show. I wasn't 3 years old taking ballet. A lot of the
Yeah.
that's a comparison thing too. When you go to classes or you do programs. I remember at BDC when I would talk to people and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, ballet, ha ha ha." When I was in elementary school, and I'm like, "Girl, I can't. My
My
first
first
ballet
ballet
class
class
was in
was at,
college."
right, same.
So I
my,
can't relate to
my
that.
first official dance class was my sophomore year of college.
Oh, see,
Even
yeah,
though I had experience dancing,
in
but
general,
like,
yeah.
uh, or dancing at church,
Hmm.
or dancing at school, but my first like official class, it was in college.
Yeah. So it's
My
like,
first ballet class, I was like 23, 24 years old.
oh wow, see,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like everybody has their different paths, and it's about access and things. So I try to think of it like that, to understand it's like it. While your brain wants to do the compare and contrast, it's just not going to work because you don't know, and also you don't. You might know some things, but there's also things you just don't know.
Right.
Um, It's hard. I would say, yeah. It's so hard to be like,
Yeah.
dang, I didn't have these things. But it's like what I do is I try not to sit in that because the only thing I could do now is move forward. And so it's
Yeah.
like I may not have those things, but I, I may not have had those things, but maybe I have some of those things now, or I have those tools now, and I'm on a constant stage of growth. But then I could be like, okay, but so now let's move to a place of progress and evolution where I can be like, okay, I'm figuring these things out, and I'm working on that. And I think it's hard. We have more work to do, but um,
Yeah.
in a way, going back to success, it's rewarding because it does feel successful to be like, I did this. Like
Hmm.
that was hard, but I'm making some I'm checking off some things, or I'm comfortable in these places, and so yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
get out of that comparison space?
I To be honest, I don't think there's ever a getting out. I think it's just always a checking yourself kind of thing. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think those little, it's kind of like those thoughts that come in, and you're like, girl, where'd that come from? Like, so it's like, I think perfect example, going back to age, when I see someone, even people who are my age, I'm like, perfect example, no relations whatsoever, no proper comparisons. I love me some Alandria down. She just turned 28. I'm turning 28 this year. I said, dang, she 28 and she done got a penthouse and some. And I'm like, well, girl, you're not Alandria. you
Yeah.
gotta,
Yeah.
you gotta chill. Um, just things like that. And everything comes at its own timing. And I definitely think for me, having a drive to know, like, I'm not sitting at this desk the rest of my life. Something's got to change. We're
Yes.
doing something. Even, me deciding to do TikTok and kind of now Instagram and YouTube and things like that. That's progress in a direction of kind of like, nah, we're not about to be at this desk. It's a way to be able to, I'm starting now, but we never know what that happens in 2 years. I even compare contrast with people who were on TikTok in 2020. You
Yeah.
ever see those memes where like they're like what I should have been doing in 2020 instead of quarantining and sitting being sad, because the
And
people in 2020 they're popping now.
I tried the same thing. I tried to
Mhm.
like hop on during the pandemic, but
Mhm.
people you have to be consistent.
You
You
do.
also have to like to a certain extent not care. Just keep posting. you
Mm-hmm.
know.
No matter the numbers.
Yeah, just keep doing it, and the
Mm-hmm.
people will come.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but it's funny because going back to it though, I even when people compare and contrast like that, or like I should have been on TikTok in 2020. Let's really sit. Would your TikTok in 2020 would have really been worth it though? Like think of where you were in 2020. Was it good? Would have been good? Because like that's a lot of change of a person 2020 to 2026, you know.
Hmm.
And for me, I'm thinking, and I was down bad in 2020. That wouldn't have been a good TikTok.
Were you?
I graduated mid-pandemic. I
Oh
was
no, from
I was
college?
not doing good. Yeah.
Oh
So
wow.
I graduated mid-pandemic. So think like March. I'm like getting ready to order my cap and gown. What's next in life? Getting ready to apply to these jobs. Ooh, let me
Hmm.
find some. Maybe I'll audition for some stuff, for some Broadway stuff. See what I could get going for dance. World shuts down. Swipe. No dance stuff happening. Swipe. Jobs are barely hiring. Yep, and then like I didn't get didn't get a graduation, things like that. Then I had to go back
No.
home, which was like an absolute no. I did not want to go back home because I went to school in San Diego, so then I had to go back to the Bay, and my goal
Where'd
was
you
like,
go?
UC San Diego.
Oh,
Hmm.
UCSD.
Yeah.
I applied to UCSD.
Hey, with the beaches, the
Mm,
beaches. Wait, where did you end up going again? Remind me.
UT Austin.
Okay, so you did. Okay, so you did stay in Texas. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um,
But I applied for UCSD for graduate school.
Got you. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, that's where I ended up going, and I just like it's San Diego, so I was like, I'd either stay here or maybe I'd go to LA. Try LA out. Maybe New York. At that time period, New York seemed like such a distant possibility.
Hmm.
Um, and but yeah, when 2020 happened, I was like, the heck, what's going?
Yeah. Well, it's when
Everything
I
was just
went back
different.
home. I went to Texas because I was here
Mm-hmm.
in New York City already, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? I actually want to go back home because I would
Mm-hmm.
rather be around my family, have a little
Yeah.
bit more freedom than New York City,
Mm-hmm.
because we can, drive more.
Exactly.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. See, so then did you, because you were, everybody was working from home. So then, yeah, you were, or did you have to like, how did that work?
I was very lucky because
Okay.
my day job actually, like when people were losing their jobs during
Yeah,
the
that
during
too.
the pandemic, I
Mhm,
actually gained a job or gained more opportunities to work.
mhm.
That's when I first got my full time role, and it was virtual at
Gotcha.
that point in time in August 2020. So
Mhm,
like I picked up work during the pandemic. Um,
Gotcha.
and so thankfully even though my job was here in New York City,
Mhm,
I was in Texas from May 2020 up until September 2021.
Gotcha.
And my money did not change.
Mhm.
It increased, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
so I was very lucky and blessed compared to other people. Even though the reason I went to Texas mostly is because I lost my apartment.
Okay, that's what's
Um,
nice living wise. Okay, got you. Okay.
yeah, it's not that I lost my apartment. They just didn't allow us to sign a lease, uh,
Mm,
because we were all artists. But then I was like, you know what? I'm not actually going to go look for another apartment. I'm just going to go home where I know I don't have to pay rent, and I know
yeah.
that
Save some money.
uh, save some money exactly, which is
Hmm.
what I did, and I'm grateful that I did that decision. That was probably one of the smartest and safest decisions that
Yeah.
I could make at that point in time.
Yeah, and you could be home with your family during like a really like wild time. Nobody knew what was really going to happen at that period. So I think that was
Right.
definitely also the safest bet. I
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's what happened. So I was down bad. Also lost my dog. My dog died.
No,
A lot going on.
you had a dog while you were in college,
So
or
yeah, so my dog, she was still at home,
oh,
but she was like my dog. So when, my plan was I was going to graduate, I was going to find a place and she was going to
uh-huh.
come with me. She died in
Okay.
July. I was like,
Oh
I said,
no.
what's going on? It was a whole lot of, but yeah, she wasn't supposed to die. It was like it was just a very unfortunate situation that happened.
Mm,
Where another dog was involved that wasn't supposed to be there, and basically, yeah.
mm.
So it was not. It wasn't only she died, like, but she like died. It was a lot. So,
Oh no. I'm
um,
sorry.
no, I mean, I'm okay now, but I'm just saying, like, I was down bad in
Were you
2020.
there in the near your
Yeah.
house when?
I saw it happen. It's really
Okay.
sad.
So we should have a grief
We
healing
should come together.
episode.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was that I guess yeah, that would be considered a traumatic experience. But so the like life changing things like that. What I will say I'm grateful for is like everyone was safe, everyone was okay and while other people were losing, family members and stuff like that. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah,
Um but it's
me too.
like yeah.
I lost a few family members too during that time as well. So
See,
yeah.
sorry about that. It was just like a lot. And so I think about that too of like we're allowed to not feel like there's a time zone of things. Like there's so much happening in our lives where we don't have to feel like, oh, it's 2026 now and I'm turning 28 and think, hey, did we remember there were some time periods that happened that the
Hmm.
world kind of stopped? You're allowed
Hmm.
to, we kept moving, the time still moved, but there were things that happened that really actually kind of stopped our zone. Like we as humans still had to keep moving,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, I think a lot of it is giving yourself grace, which is why it's like I don't think it ever stops, but I do think that we can hold ourselves accountable. I think it's just constant work, to be honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I think I don't think that's gonna, even when I'm 50, I'm probably gonna be looking at somebody else who's also 50, being like, "Girl, what you got going on?"
Are we though? Because I feel like the older you get, the less you care. The less you care.
Really, you
I,
think so? I hear that sometimes.
I think so because I feel
Yeah.
like the now that I'm inching towards my mid 30s, the
Mhm.
things that I cared about when I was 20, I don't care about anymore, and
Okay.
I'm getting to the point where like I disagree with that, and let me tell you why. And I don't care what you think afterwards. So
Right.
if this is what I'm doing now, I can't imagine how I'm going to be when I'm 50.
Oh, just prime. It's gonna be. I was gonna ask because a lot of people say you enter your 30s, things start clicking, where it's like like you said, you care less, you feel more settled. People say it's like their best time period. Would you say you feel like that? Like it's like, no, this is it. I'm in my prime. Or do you feel like your prime is still coming?
I feel like my prime is still coming.
Okay.
However, I think I am more seasoned
Mhm.
in the challenges that I have to where it doesn't affect me in the same way.
Okay.
I'm also learning how to say no more during this time, which
Yeah.
is, I think, I wish I had known this. I mean, if I had the tool of saying no much earlier, I would have saved so much time.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I feel I wouldn't say it's like I'm exactly there, but I'm definitely in a better place.
Mhm.
And if I had, because I feel like some people can get these tools earlier, you know, they
Yeah.
can be taught, they can be corrected, and
Mhm.
and you can be empowered with these much earlier. I
Yeah.
think, um, and that can shift things for you. But because of what I didn't receive from my environment or have access to, I'm having to learn these things while doing them, compared to someone who had someone in their family or their life who had already experienced these things.
Mhm.
I'm experiencing it in a real time, and I think in real time, I think that that's what comes from like being a quote unquote trailblazer, because no one in your life has done what you've done. So
Yeah.
what can you base it off of? I mean, you can't base it off stories and books and things that you learn from, but like you actually have to go through it, especially when you don't have like a person in your life that has actively gone through it before you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm curious about that, and then I'm gonna go back into the success thing because I do want to talk about like acknowledging. Actually, ties in acknowledging our successes that have already happened so far. I think what's really cool about that is one being the person who's kind of checkmarked those things, and I keep
Hmm.
saying checkmark, but not really. It doesn't feel like a checkmark. It's like, nah, I've done it. I've achieved it.
Hmm.
But there's also probably like I don't know if you feel this way sometimes, or if it sometimes could feel a bit tiring, or a bit not necessarily a weight. I don't feel like it's a weight because in a way I kind of take it with pride, but also sometimes there's days where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm tired of taking the lead and being the one that's making these changes. Um, so I am curious about that, like if there's ways that you combat that feeling? And if so, how do you do it?
Tell me more. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So when you're just like, one, I feel like for me, I'll give kind of like a more personal example.
Okay.
Being someone who, I was first gen, went to college,
Mm-hmm.
no one else had done that before. So kind of making marks right there was things that needs to be done before I got there to that point. It wasn't just get to college. It was like there was work that needs to be put in. Okay, I got to college. Work that gets put in to getting the next job or getting the next job with a good salary. What does that
Mm-hmm.
work look like? Consistent work to also kind of educate your family and going backwards in that aspect. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes for me, I'm, I guess trailblaze. I'll use that trail. I'm trailblazing a lot, where I'm making these next steps and checks. Well, one, I'm excited because they are for me, but there is also a little bit of pressure that happens from the family aspect. We're like, oh, you be doing stuff. So the idea is that you're always going to be doing stuff. So there's a pressure there sometimes. I'm just like, sometimes I just want to sit, not have to
Mm-hmm.
think about it. Kind of going back to the whole thing of always having to think about the next thing when it comes to success. And I'm
Yeah.
curious if, one, do you feel that way? Two, how do you combat that feeling?
Huh. I I do get tired um often, and I don't know if I necessarily combat it. I think I'm actually trying to work on not doing so much. I
Mm,
think
mm,
because I don't know if I was necessarily taught, but maybe at some point in my life, I felt like I had to keep going. I
mm,
had to figure out ways to remove myself from the circumstances that I was in.
mm.
I I feel like I had to say yes to so many different things because it could be like taken away.
Yeah.
And now I'm still learning to this very day, like, no, you don't have to say yes to everything that comes to you. Everything is not for you necessarily.
Yeah, that too.
Also, like, you may need to take more time for yourself to just be and to rest and to, just do whatever you want to do, but like stop doing so much because that to me that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So I'm right now in the season of my life, I'm actively learning how to say no and to just stop and to like I don't have to like keep saying yes to the next thing. Like and I'm in that right now. Literally before I got on this podcast or
Mhm,
looking forward to this weekend, these are all things that I love to do. Like I
mhm,
wanted to do, but also know that like you also get to like not do anything at all.
mhm,
There was a point in time where you can just sit and like watch TV or you go to the park and I think it's because I'm not at the point of time where, a lot of my energy has gone to my day job throughout the week. And now I'm having to actively carve out space and time to do those other things that I want to kind of pick up soon in the future. If I
mhm.
could be on a podcast all day and this could be my bread and butter, I would. You
Yes.
know, if
Yeah.
the meetings that I'm having with friends and potential producers or collaborators on projects, if I could do that every day and still generate income, I would. I just had to sacrifice an improv rehearsal that I have because I want to go to this meeting with this person. If I could do improv and be in a space playing all day and learning, I would, but I'm not at that point in time. But I also know that like if I don't do it, how is it ever going to happen? I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to be in this current position that I'm in.
In the
And I'm very
circle.
grateful to say that it's happening, it's picking up.
Mhm.
It's just like how do I find that healthy balance to where I'm not compromising my rest and my health and my joy by trying to do everything under the sun because I can't.
Mhm.
It's not possible. You also need to like
Take
sit
care of
and
yourself.
be and take care of yourself.
Mhm. I'm glad. Yeah, that's so true. I'm currently in a for me it is a bit of a battle right now because I'm acknowledging that and I'm taking pauses, but also kind of going into understanding of how do I balance that still with putting in the work I know I need to do. Because right now I'm in a case of, okay, 9 to 5 was here, and yes, I dance, but I'm not doing dance moves to make it for me versus I'm taking classes, but okay, I need to take steps outside of here. How do I balance that and not overload myself? That's kind of where I am, because I'm also doing podcasts. I'm also doing TikTok and Instagram, things like that. There's also those aspects there. Okay, but I also need to start taking care of my dance life. Okay, we need to make sure we're posting some videos, we're doing some stuff here. How do we balance that and not take ourselves out? What does self-care look like? And also not taking yourself out. I was talking to Shara about this. We did a podcast, Living in the Moment, this season. I think that was a really beautiful reminder. It's like there's all these things to worry about, but sometimes you just have to just let your brain sit and rest and not have to think. And as much as you want to do this, sometimes you have to force yourself to just stop. My kind of brain turn offs, I love going to the movie theater and just watching a movie, because I get to just focus on that one thing and I'm not thinking about anything else.
Do you have an AMC pass?
I do. I'm an A-lister.
A friend of mine has been trying to get me to do that.
We love to say, all you got to do is watch 2 movies a month and that pays it off.
Yeah, that's how he words it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as of late, it's been a really good movie year. So I've been watching. I try to do at least one a week, and sometimes recently I hit 4 movies in 1 week, and I actually used my 4 movies in a week once. I was like, oh snap!
Wow.
So yeah, I've been doing that a lot lately. Give me a little popcorn, I'll sneak in a little Dunkin', breakfast, and just sit and watch a movie. My brain turns off in dance class sometimes too, but sometimes it's stressful depending on the situation. But I get to not have to worry about, oh my gosh, I have work tomorrow. I gotta wake up at this time and so things like that. Yesterday I went to Shakespeare in the Park.
Romeo and Juliet?
Yes, Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, I'm gonna see it soon.
Yes, it was good. But it was such a nice day yesterday. So sitting in the park for a bit, eating my food, the breeze and the trees, like just moments like that. And I also told Shara sometimes I'll, even on my way to work, while I'm stressed and thinking about all the things I have to do before work and after work in my planner, don't really want to go to work. Babe, I'm going to work. And,
Passion planner?
Yeah.
I just bought me another one.
Oh, you did? Hey!
Yeah.
It's so good. I love Passion Planner. But I'm waiting for their drop for their New Year stuff. But yeah, I have mine. It's in my thing somewhere. But yeah, so sometimes I'm just like, Ivana, sometimes I have to remind myself, girl, look at where you are. You're in New York City. Some place that you thought you wouldn't get to until you were like 30.
Yes.
And so sometimes when I'm walking in the city on my way to work and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to go. And I'm like, wait, Ivana, look up. I'm looking at the buildings and the people, and really just like kind of like sitting in it, and then sometimes I take a breath. While it sounds so dramatic, but that's a pause for me, where I purposely am like, no, I'm legit here. Like I can hop on a subway and go to Central Park if I want to, or I freaking live in Queens, and like there's just like you have nothing but opportunity and
Spider-Man lives in Queens.
Yes. I live where Spider-Man lives. Yeah. So moments like that where I have to remind myself, it's like there's not one thing that I've done that wasn't worth it, but making sure that I still take care of myself and I give myself time for the future that comes, but also not necessarily too deep into the future that comes. But I did want to ask one final question before we officially wrap up. What does your perfect successful day look like? If you could give me what a perfect day looks like for you in your successful era.
Perfect day for me is waking up, drinking water with lemon, taking a quick walk, and coming back home and or going to the gym or doing some yoga, some physical activity to get the body going. Definitely creating space to meditate and or pray, and then write, do some sort of small creative activity or something reflective. And then I would say having a meeting up of some sort with a friend or potential collaborator or someone like working on my team. There was one day where I woke up and went to Harlem, and a friend and I, we were like writing partners for 2 hours. And then afterwards, I made my way downtown to take an improv class with someone that I really want to take a class with. So like a midday class. just to kind of get
Mhm.
my juices flowing and keep learning, keep sharpening my tools. And I mean, there's so many variations of this, but like if I am working on Broadway, when I'm working on
Mhm.
Broadway,
Yes.
let me put
Okay.
myself, I
Mhm.
would come back home, eat a nice meal. Uh, I think you also have to work out, do a little bit of a workout before you get to your performance, just so your body is feeling good and have a lot of energy.
Mhm.
And make my way to the theater, do costume makeup, do whatever routines to get into character, perform, afterwards connect with, people who came, loved ones, audiences, have a nice
Mhm.
little nighttime meal and come back home. And, uh, if I'm partnered up or something at this point in time, creating
Mhm.
space to connect with my partner
Yeah.
and,
Not your partner.
uh,
Yeah.
and winding down and pulling out my gratitude journal, having my
Mhm.
nighttime tea. Maybe if I can bring in back some more meditation, read some pages, write some
Mhm.
pages, and resting again. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's very balanced. I love it. I love a good slow morning. I think that's what a lot of people crave. I'm not gonna say all, but I feel like that's what a lot of people crave, where they could just wake up when they're ready to wake up. I'm not a morning exercise girl,
Hmm.
but I think that would probably be best for me
Hmm.
for sure.
Hmm.
But I think for me, I'd love like a yoga or like some form of like careful stretching. That's also a good moment to just pause for the morning before you jump in. I feel like right now I just trying to jump into the day.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Also like love a good take a walk, go get a coffee or sit at a cafe, whether it's a coffee or tea or whatever, because I'm not really a coffee girl, but sitting down, doing some work, whatever that is, personal work that needs to be done. That's
Hmm.
for me to do whatever I need to do, like you said, for writing. So for me, it could be like, business stuff or even TikTok stuff, things like that. I'd love to have like partnerships in the future.
Yes.
Like, okay, I'm working on partnerships, or maybe I'm having meetings about that, um, and different ideas. And then eventually, like going to rehearsal. Maybe it's a rehearsal, and then it's a show or
Yeah.
something like that for dance. Or maybe I am, choreographing something. I think that'd be really cool as well. So,
Come on, choreographer.
right? Just putting things out there. Um, I think,
You're
you know,
choreographing a Disney Channel original movie that's a
oh, that'd be
musical.
fire. Listen, I need to meet Kenny Ortega one day. I think he's so cool. But no, see, that'd be cool. Oh, let's go on set. What are we doing on set today? Like you said, like the days could be different, but I think for me, it's no day is the same. I think that's what I would love is that no day is the same, and I'm in charge of my days.
Mm,
Um, you know, so that's what I see. Very general, but for sure, I love a good slow morning. Take it how I prefer it, versus like being forced to. I got to be in the office at 8:30 and things like that. It's like no, I'm in charge of how my day goes.
yeah.
Of course, you got to be somewhere. You got to be somewhere, but it's not an everyday situation.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you so much. I appreciated that. And I appreciate this conversation.
Yeah.
Definitely good like moment to reflect. Definitely a good moment to, I feel like having these conversations like this is like, ooh, what's next? How does my brain, perceive this new information and how do we take it into the next kind of phase? But it's also good to be like, nah, we did some stuff. We've been
Yeah.
doing some stuff and we're gonna
No.
keep doing some stuff.
Yeah.
So I love the when and not the if,
Yeah.
as you already had mentioned. But for the audience out there, thank you for listening. Make sure you check out Jamichael. All the information is in the episode description. Make sure you're following me at the Introvert Social Hour, TikTok, Instagram, all the things like that. Make sure you're following this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Hope you ever take something from it. Make sure you comment in the wherever you're listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Get some sunshine, get some air. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Bye.